I decided to go ahead and apply for the card. I got the card, got approved for it, and I went into the portal and created my ACH setup with Bilt, and just in time for my August of last year's mortgage payment. And it's been awesome since. I've been getting I've been getting points for my mortgage ever since. And the sleeper thing too is,
hey, what's going on, guys? Listen, I'm super excited to bring a special guest that's never been on this YouTube channel to you all today. All right. Now, listen, get your notepads out, because if there's one thing this guy knows, it is credit cards. Okay. But listen, he doesn't have a lot of time, but we got some great topics from some questions that I've seen you all ask from this channel. And listen, he has those answers. So, of course, I want to introduce to you all John from John's Credit and Travel. John, can you hear us okay?
Hey, Calvin. Yes, sir. I can hear you just fine.
All right. Awesome. Well, listen, John, I've watched quite a few of your videos on your YouTube channel. And I said, listen, yeah, absolutely. And I said, and you know what? It's more so the delivery and answering a certain type of question, because my audience, they always have a lot of questions about, different various sources of credit, right? And a lot of people think we just talk about rebuilding credit, but no, we literally try to cover every aspect of credit. And that's why we had to have you on today. All right. So, but here's the deal. The first thing is, you talked about something that a lot of people don't talk about. And that is, you are not the customer. You're not the type of customer that American Express wants. Can you break that down?
Yeah, sure, Calvin. So when I did that video a few weeks ago, so recently Amex made a change to some of the perks and credits and whatnot of the American Express Gold Card, of which I am a holder of. And a lot of conversation in the credit card community has been around people trying to gamify the credits, right? Like, here's a new Dunkin' Donuts credit.
Right.
And the conversation was around, well, how am I going to be able to use this credit? How am I going to be able to utilize? And here's the thing, the one phrase that made me want to do the video is several people saying, how do I use this credit to get value?
Exactly. Yeah.
And I thought to myself, how is using a credit getting you value from the card? And when I heard people repeating this over and over again, seeing the conversation evolve into, knowing that people aren't really users of the cards.
Right.
So it prompted me to do the video, because I basically wanted to say that if the only value you are getting, quote unquote value, you are getting from a particular Amex card or all of your Amex cards or whatever is you gamifying the credits, you're not the customer American Express wants. And the reason why I say that is because American Express wants loyal customers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at their structure of cards compared to Chase, compared to Wells Fargo, compared to Citi and all the other banks, they want loyalty. If you're going to pay that much for an annual fee, they want loyalty. They expect you to use their cards. Yeah. And so the value that they want you to get from those cards are either MR points on the gold or platinum or green card, or they're co-branded cards, whether it's the Hilton Honors card for Hilton Honors points or the Delta Sky Miles cards for Delta Sky Miles. That's the value. So it's, if you're trying to gamify a $7 credit versus just using the card to get the points, the point should be more valuable to you than a credit. And that was the whole point of my video, in saying that if you are this person gaming a credit every month, you are not the person that American Express wants. Because quite honestly, the people that I know that are Amex customers, that are high salary people, some of them are my friends.
Yeah.
They don't give a crap about the credits, because they put all their spend to the cards. They're getting all the MR points. They're getting all the Delta Sky Miles. Yeah. If they happen to use a credit, okay. Yeah. But they're the people that don't care. And so that was the point of that video, was saying that, I just think that was the point of the video, was if you're not getting value from the point system, then you're not the customer they want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? And I thought about that too, because like you mentioned, when these credit card companies, they have a certain type of client that they're looking for. If you use it a certain way, then it, like you said, the small things won't matter. Because if
Yep.
you're using it a certain way, you're actually going to get way more than what that credit, than what those small entry level credits are. Because if you're really using
Yep.
the card, you're really going to maximize from the benefits. And that's not just American
Exactly.
Express, but of course, that's the topic for now. But again, if you're actually just using the card like you should be using the card, then you're most definitely going to have those benefits as well. Now,
Exactly.
obviously, this because you've had quite a few credit cards, as of recently, but it wasn't always like that, right? And I think that a lot of times people, they'll watch a video on YouTube and they'll say, well, man, you know what? Of course, it's easier for this person. They've gotten, 10 credit cards, 5 credit cards, 20 credit cards, whatever. But it wasn't always like that. Could you tell us a little bit about your credit card journey? Let's go back to the start of your journey and where you are right now so people can know that you know what you're talking about.
Sure. And to backtrack a little bit on that topic, my journey started very recently. And I say recently as in 2017. And a lot of
Okay.
people are
Wow.
probably saying, well, why 2017, John? And so the answer is I was caught in the financial collapse of 0809, and I
Wow.
lost my job. I had
Mm,
had a pretty good job at a company that I loved, and I
yeah.
got laid off in February of '09. The result of that was I was not prepared to be out of a job for a year and a half like I was.
Yeah. Wow.
And I had money in savings. Obviously, I didn't have enough, but at about the 16-month mark,
Yeah.
a buddy of mine, he also got laid off at the same company I did. He
Mm,
asked me to move in with him. I basically lost everything. I lost my
wow.
apartment. I lost my
Yeah.
car. I was at a point where I was living with him, paying him some money for rent.
Yeah.
I had just found a job that I didn't want, but it was a job.
Mm, yeah.
And so I was getting back on my feet again, living with him. A friend of mine let me borrow his car for like 6 months
Mm,
to get me by. And I had to go to one of those, auto lots for people
yeah.
with crappy credit and
Yeah.
pardon my language,
Yeah.
and get a car. But it was a start. It was a start.
Yeah.
And living with this guy for a friend of mine for about 7 years.
Yeah.
I spent those 7 years rebuilding myself.
That's right.
I slowly progressed in jobs
Yeah.
and, started rebuilding my credit. The auto loan I had was the credit I had at the time. I paid that loan off,
Mm,
and fast forward to 2017 when I got my first card again, which was, and I had cards before, right? I had credit cards before all that,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
it was all gone. And so my first
Mm,
card I got after I started rebuilding myself was the City Double Cash card.
yeah.
And so, I slowly just started to, I was putting money into savings. My
Yeah.
credit scores were going up. I was using the card and I was accumulating another card and then another
Yeah.
card. I think I got, I was accumulating bank cards from Bank of America, a local regional bank here in Kansas City called Commerce Bank, First National Bank of Omaha. I was just slowly accumulating cards, and they were all cashback cards. And
Yeah.
I was of the mindset of, okay, the more cards I have, the more credit available that I have. And if I use
Right.
these cards smartly, it's going to elevate my credit. And that was, I think at that time I had 12 or 15 cashback cards at the time
Wow.
before I really started to focus on wanting to travel instead. I accumulated these cards, used them wisely, and saved that cash back. And like I said, I wanted to share that story because I know that people all the time have to start over from scratch. Even
That's
myself, I
right.
was in a very low place.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
so it's definitely, so I've came from nothing to getting my first card again to getting a second card, and I'm currently at 20 cards right now. So
Wow. Wow. You know what? Okay. Let's break that down a little bit. We don't have to go too deep into specific cards, but what banks have you been able to get those credit cards with?
yeah, man, sure, glad to share it. Citibank,
Okay.
Bank of America, First National Bank of Omaha, Chase, American Express,
Yeah.
and Bilt.
Right. Man, I'm so glad. I'm so glad you talked about that Bilt credit card because people are still sleeping on that credit card. As a matter of fact, you talked about something that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. And you said that you were able to pay your mortgage by having this credit card. Can you break that down, please?
Sure, man. Yeah. Actually, it's probably one of my most popular videos that
Yeah.
I've done on the channel, and for obvious reasons, right? So, about July of last year, I was just tinkering around with when I was trying to maximize all of my spending. Like, how can I get points for as much of my spending as I can? I
Yeah.
was just poking around on the internet, looking at credit cards with more, paying mortgage with credit card, and that kind of thing. And I ran across a couple of posts on Reddit. And of course, take it with a grain of salt, but I saw some data points about people that were able to make mortgage payments using Bilt.
Mm,
And so the more I dug into it, I thought, well, this could be a thing. And so the caveat to this is it's been successful. I got the
yeah.
card. Now you don't necessarily have to have the card, but it's a good idea to have the card because you have to make purchases. You have to make enough purchases to get your points
Right.
every month. So it's good to have
Yeah.
the card. But because I have a I'm a Wells Fargo mortgage holder, and Wells Fargo issues the Bilt card. So they have
Mm,
that, symbiotic relationship.
that's right.
Bilt is allowing Wells Fargo mortgage holders to make mortgage payments and therefore get points for our mortgage,
Wow.
at 1x using their Bilt ACH, which is
Wow.
basically for everybody that has Bilt for rent. You're
Yeah.
making your mortgage payment the same way that people are making the rent payment. You're just using the Bilt
Right.
ACH
Right.
function on their site. So
Wow.
as a Wells Fargo customer,
That's
mortgage
right.
holder, it's being allowed, but they're not allowing
Wow.
it through any other bank. So it's just
Wow.
Wells Fargo mortgage holder. So I happen to be lucky enough, I guess, to be a Wells customer. So I've
Right.
been doing it for about a year, a little bit over a year now, about 14 months now. So, and it's been great.
Man, talk about a way to truly maximize the points. And listen, guys, I told you John he knows what he's talking about. And again, he breaks this down into a deeper dive for sure on his channel. So make sure you guys go ahead and check out his channel, John's Credit and Travel. But like you said, with you having that Built credit card, I mean, you already had the mortgage prior to that. So
Yeah,
the
correct.
the timing couldn't be any better.
Yes. Yep, correct. Yeah, I refinanced my mortgage in January of 21,
Yeah.
and Wells Fargo happened to pick it up. My original
Wow.
mortgage in 2017, it was with PennyMac,
Got
and
you.
when I refied, Wells Fargo picked it up, and then
Wow.
fast forward
Yeah.
to 2 years later, I happen to be doing this search online and see that, oh, okay, this looks interesting,
Yeah.
and I decided to go ahead and apply for the card. I got the card, got approved for it,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
went into the portal and created my ACH setup with Bilt, and just in time for my August of last year's mortgage payment.
Yeah.
And it's been awesome since I've been getting points for my mortgage ever since.
Yeah.
And
That's a
the
go ahead.
sleeper thing too is Bilt will allow folks that do not have a Wells Fargo mortgage to make their HOA payments through
Wow.
Bilt's ACH also, which you can also get points for. So,
That's amazing.
yeah, HOA. If people have HOA fees,
Yeah.
I mean, why not get points for your HOA?
Why not? And
No.
I mean, I love how you broke that down because, and first off, that's something that I most definitely didn't know. And I'm sure the audience may not have known that as well. But the fact that it's not only a lot of points, and I'm gonna circle back to that in a second. But the fact that it's something that you are already paying, that you know you're going to pay, so you're not looking for things to pay. You're not looking for certain bills to put the card on and things of that sort. this is something
Yep.
that you're going to pay anyway, just to
Yep.
live.
Yep.
And so, how many points have you accumulated doing that?
Well, so I obviously refinancing,
Oh yeah,
right after COVID, or
yeah,
kind of the tail end of COVID, my interest rate's 2.5%, but my mortgage payment is also not real high. It's like
yeah.
900 a month. So take
Got
900 times, 14 months now, but still
Listen,
that's points regardless.
it
So
is. That's absolutely, yeah. That's an
that's
amazing strategy. Huge.
I mean, you take what 900 times 10 months is 9,000
Yep.
points. So you take it,
Yep.
another couple of months, and you're talking
Yeah.
1,100 points, or
And that's automatic at this point, right?
that's
Wow.
points you weren't getting before. So,
That's right.
and you can use those points for the people that want to do statement credits. You can
Yeah.
do that. But for the people that want to travel, Bilt has a travel program. You can use those points for traveling, or you can take those points and transfer them out to a transfer partner to travel elsewhere, or for hotel stays, or those kind of things. So it's a pretty powerful program.
You know what? I've been seeing some people talking about Bilt, and of course, there were some people who obviously were paying their rent and things of that sort. Then they wasn't able to pay a certain amount of money of rent and things of that sort. So people feel like the Bilt card was not the best to come out. But when you hear stories like this, it's like, well, this is how I'm using it, in a sense, because no one else is going to allow you to do that. Well, I won't say no one else, but depending on how the mortgage is paid and things of that sort. But I mean, that's a huge benefit. So for those of you who are watching this right now, let us know your thoughts about this inside the comment section for sure. And don't forget, guys, if you are with Wells Fargo, you can most definitely have that Bilt credit card. Get those easy points. Rates are coming back down. Don't know if we're going to be able to get John's rate, though, at 2.5%. Don't know if we're going to see that for a while. But if for sure in the fours, things of that sort, especially sometime next year. Listen, if you are able to get with Wells Fargo, that's one of the reasons you should consider it, especially if you're already with them, as well. So, but listen, John, we know you got to run, but if there are any last gems, before we get out of here for the audience today, or anything you want to leave in general?
I would just say, and I know other people have probably said this before, but don't be scared of credit cards. Don't be scared of credit. Obviously, if you use them the wrong way, they will rise up and bite you hard, and you will suffer the consequences for a long time.
Right.
But think of them as a tool, especially if you're a person that, you can be on the cashback side of the fence, or you can be on the travel side of the fence, but use them as a tool. If you sit there and if you're looking at, how can I maximize my spending? You're spending already, right? You're buying food, food's expensive. You have utilities, you have your house, or you have your auto insurance, your cell phone, your internet, all the normal expenses that all of us have.
Yeah.
Why not benefit from that by investigating the credit card world and seeing what cards are out there, but also being responsible with your spending. Like if you're gonna don't spend within your means, and the points add up. It may seem, especially if you're new to the game and you're, welcome offer hunting. By that, I mean, you're looking for a new credit card and the credit card there's a 60,000 point offer for so much spend and so much time. That's a lot of points. If you're looking to travel, you can transfer those points out and travel business class to France. But it's all, I just advise people to don't be scared of them. Use them and look at them as a tool in your toolbox and use them responsibly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I'm glad you touched on that, because I think that a lot of people are feeling the way like you just mentioned, where they have the credit cards, or they're afraid, to either have them or use them, or to get a certain amount, whatever the case may be. And listen, guys, it's all about having the education, having the knowledge, having the strategy, and you don't have to have, obviously 20 plus credit cards if you're not ready for that, or whatever the case may be. But it's about knowing what's going to work best for you, knowing what these banks are looking for. I think that that's very key in building these great relationships with them as well. But listen, John, and by the way, guys, if you guys haven't done so already, again, you got to most definitely check out his channel. This is what he talks about, all day long, and from personal experience as well. All right. Well, thanks again, John. We greatly appreciate you taking out the time to be on the show today. And until next time, sir, we greatly appreciate you.
All right, man. Thanks, Calvin. Take care, man.